What's up? Chester RP Church Devotional Podcast. Here we go.
All the way my Savior leads me. Cheers each winding path I tread. Gives me grace for every trial. Feeds me with the living bread.
All right. Well, welcome to the Chester RP Church Devotional Podcast. Isaiah 47 is where we are this morning. This is a prophecy about the fall of Babylon. Remember, I don't know if you're familiar with the book of Isaiah, but you have to remember that the people of God, the Israelites, the people who've been carried off into captivity will have been carried off into captivity by the hands of the Babylonians. This is a result of God's judgment upon them for their disobedience. But they've been carried off into captivity. They will live in captivity in exile for 50 years in the Babylonian kingdom, and they are there to. They have a responsibility to pursue the grace and mercy of God. They have a responsibility to live to the glory of God. They have a responsibility while in captivity to seek the prosperity of the city in which they live, and God will bless them and rescue them and encourage them along the way. And He's promised to do that. But He's also in this prophecy giving them something to hold on to, some hope, some light at the end of the tunnel. Because you can imagine, right, if you're living in captivity and you're not able to return home and not able to worship God in the tabernacle or the temple, I should say, not tabernacle because this is the temple era. If you're not able to worship God in the temple, you're not able to spend time with your family and friends, you're not living in the freedom that you want to live in as your nation is established as the people of God, there's going to be a potential for discouragement and hardship. And so God says, let me give you some hope, right? Not only am I going to be with you, but let me give you some understanding of the final nature and what's going to happen to the Babylonian Empire. And so God is predicting their demise. And so this is what we read, Isaiah chapter 47. Go down and sit in the dust, virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground without a throne, daughter of Chaldea. For you will no longer be called pampered and spoiled. Take millstones and grind flour. Remove your veil. Strip off your skirt. Bare your thigh. Wade through the streams. Your nakedness will be uncovered, and your disgrace will be exposed. I will take vengeance. I will spare none. The Holy One of Israel is our Redeemer. The Lord of armies, or the Lord of hosts, is His name. Daughter Chaldea, sit in silence and go into darkness, for you will no longer be called mistress of kingdoms. I was angry with my people. I profaned my possession, and I handed them over to you. You showed them no mercy. You made your yoke very heavy on the elderly. You said, I will be queen forever. You did not take these things to heart or think about their outcome. So now hear this, you lover of luxury, who sits securely, who says to herself, I am, and there is no one else. I will never be a widow or know the loss of children. These two things will happen to you suddenly, and in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They will happen to you in their entirety, in spite of your many sorceries and the potency of your spells. You were secure in your wickedness. You said, no one sees me. Your wisdom and knowledge led you astray. You said to yourself, I am, and there is no one else. But disaster will happen to you, and you will know how to avert it, and it will fall on you, but you will be unable to ward it off. Devastation will happen to you suddenly and unexpectedly. And so when I said in my introduction that God gives the people of God hope, He gives the people of Israel hope as they're off in captivity. Here, He is saying, with reference to the nation of Babylon, you guys have been living in luxury. You guys have been spoiled and pampered. You guys have been doing whatever you want to do and thinking you're going to get away with it. Nobody cares and nobody's watching you. Certainly, you don't think the God of all glory is watching you, but you're wrong. And in the moment, you think you're fat and happy. You live in a prosperous life, but you know that what's going to happen ultimately to you is that you're going to lose everything, and it's going to come upon you in sudden form. Now, I think this is important for the people of Israel. It gives them hope and encouragement because I think one of the challenges, one, it gives them a finite nature to their hope, right? So there is something they can definitely hope for. Now, there's no indication as to when this is going to happen. It's going to come like this. It kind of reminds us of when Jesus talks about His return. He's going to come in the twinkling of an eye. And so when Christ returns, when the Father says it's time for the Son to come get his bride, the Son's going to come back and establish his kingdom. It's going to happen in a twinkling of an eye. Now, there may be signs and wonders and the closes of the age, but the reality of it is we don't know when it's going to happen. But we know it's going to happen, and therefore we find encouragement and hope in the fact that there is a finite end to this world and the return of Christ. The same is true. There's a finite end to the captivity of the people of God in Babylon. The Lord will bring it. There's encouragement and there's hope there. But there's also encouragement and hope, I think, for them, because one of the things that's a challenge for those who live faithfully and try to live faithful to the God of the Bible, maybe you are doing that. Certainly we're striving to do that as faithful biblical Christians. There is a challenge to us when we look around us and we see the people who aren't living faithfully, who are living wicked lives and unrighteous lives. The challenge, I think, oftentimes for us is to think that they're getting away with it. They're not ever going to have to deal with the consequences of their actions, that somehow, some way, they're going to skirt by, and that the God of the Bible doesn't care about the plight of his people and about the wickedness of the world around them. And what this tells us is that God does indeed care. God does see it, and that the destruction will come. There's a finite end, but there's also going to be a destruction, a downfall for those wicked people, that God will judge wickedness. And I think that's an important thing for those who are trying to walk in uprightness, because, one, we know that there is an end to this world, the suffering and the hardship and the difficulties when Christ returns, and we know that those who seemingly are getting away with whatever they want to do now will ultimately one day face the judgment of God into eternity. That should scare us. It should make us want to see them return and repent to him, to follow the Lord. But it also should encourage our hearts that there will be reward for those who are faithful as we walk with him. You guys have a great day. God bless you. I hope you've been encouraged today. Take care. God indeed is faithful to care for his people. See ya tomorrow.
Carry